Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fathers and Family. Really excited to be here. Pete Saunders, and we have Dr. Ricketts with us again. This episode, we're going to be talking about adjusting to divorce. I mean, the papers have been finalized. The custody arrangements have been finalized as well. What does a husband do now? What does a man do now, Dr. Ricketts?
What does a father do now? That's a very common question, Pete. And here in the state of Florida, it's mandatory that divorcing parents with minor children, children under the age of 18, that they take a 4-hour parenting class. And in county also, the children of those parents, if they are between the ages of 6 and 17, they too must take a class for children of divorce called Sandcastles.
Okay.
Through these programs, both parents and children understand what divorce means and how it could affect them. And for those parents who don't get to take the course, there are many things that they can do so that the pain and the trauma that usually result from divorce can be minimized.
Is there a step-by-step process that a guy can go through to adjust to it, both personally as well as maintain that relationship with his kids?
Yes, very crucial, because one of the things we have to remember is that parents might decide to divorce because the relationship, the marriage was not going well, but they can't divorce their children. This is why we have an ex-spouse, but we never have an ex-child, right? Okay. So what I've done, I've come up with 7 simple steps that parents can take that can make adjusting to divorce less traumatic. And as a matter of fact, I've put them in a DVD.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I
But
can see it.
right,
Adjust
adjusting to
to,
divorce, simple steps parents can take to help themselves and their children.
okay.
And there are 7 simple steps. I know time is of the essence, so I'll just mention them very briefly. The first one is education. For those in areas, for parents in areas where it's not mandatory to take the parenting class, I would suggest that they enroll themselves in parenting classes to educate themselves on what it means to be a parent generally, but also after the divorce. And their children also might need counseling if they're not in an area where the sandcastles and similar programs are available. So the first step is educating themselves,
Right.
right? The second step is for parents to understand their roles as divorced parents. And as we know, there are like 6 things that all parents are expected to provide for their children, whether they're divorced or not, whether they're separated, never married, right? Food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, guidance, safety, and a loving environment for them to thrive, right? So that's understanding their role. What is it that they're supposed to provide for their children? What their relationship should be like. The third one is for parents to understand that they should model good behaviors at all times for their children to follow. This includes how they communicate with their ex, right, with the other parent. No bad mouthing.
And I know that can be a challenge, Dr.
Oh,
Ricketts.
it's a lot of times people are angry. Of decades after the divorce, some people are still angry and they're finding it difficult to move ahead with their life. So children usually watch 2 things that parents do. They listen to the way parents talk to each other before the divorce, during, and especially afterwards. And they also listen to what parents say about the other one when the other one is absent.
Right.
Parents should pay attention to that. Now, the fourth step is for parents to identify community resources and make full use of them. They should do a needs assessment, to find out what their needs are, financial, legal, or counseling, whatever it is. Identify where they can get help in the community. And once they identify them, they make full use of those resources to help themselves and to help their children. The fifth one is to avoid getting into relationships too soon. And I know this is a major challenge for a lot of men because a lot of men are mama's boys and they can't do anything for themselves. And so they're looking for a woman who can take care of them and help them take care of the children. Well, the children have a father already and they have we know sometimes, even before the divorce is final, some people already have their eye on somebody else who is going to replace the other spouse. But when you do that, you might be ready because you know the relationship wasn't going well for a long time.
Right.
And so when it finally ends, you're okay. But for children, remember in children's minds, you remember how children's storybooks always say, and they lived happily ever after?
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
what they expect of their parents. And so they need more time to adjust.
Right.
So it's that good. We have what we call the 1 year rule, which states that
Okay.
1 year after the separation or 1 year after the divorce, parents should not get into a new relationship because many children say that the worst time for them throughout the whole divorce process is when they had to deal with a step parent.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's
I
a
can
major
imagine.
adjustment for them, and
In
they
fact,
have to think,
I even hear adults talk about that today, that for them as a child, that was the most difficult thing, for
yeah,
them to
it's
adjust to
almost
a
like
step parent.
they forgot it, right?
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very challenging time. The sixth step, Pete, is self care. We as men, we have to remember to take care of ourselves. The women are very good. They go to the doctor, they do their mammogram, their pap, and so on. But a man would spend time washing his car, but he's not going to church and he's not taking care of himself as much. So that's one of the things we have to show our kids, especially our boys, that our health is important and we
Right.
take care not just of our physical health, but our mental health as well, avoiding depression, avoiding alcoholism, and things like that that usually affect us disproportionately. And then the final step is for us to remember to put our children first. Whatever decisions that we're going to make, whatever action we're going to take, one of the first things we should ask ourselves, how is this going to affect my life? How is it going to affect my children's life? Parents really have to step up to the plate and let them know that the relationship between mom and dad might have changed, but the relationship between the parents and the child remains the same.
We'll provide a link to the resources Dr. Ricketts mentioned and for you to purchase those. And just drop us a line. Tell us how you are adjusting to divorce yourself, some of the challenges that you have experienced and how you have been able to overcome those. And we'll see you at the next episode.
Bye bye.